Locked away and hidden from the public for nearly 50 years, the Wedge of Aiud is one of the most mysterious and controversial artifacts you've never heard of.
Let's get to it.
(1974) Aiud, Romania. During construction, at a depth of 30 feet, workers discover a mysterious, wedge-shaped artifact alongside a set of 12,000-year-old Mastodon bones. Unsure as to what they had discovered, but understanding the significance of the Mastodon bones, said construction workers notified the authorities, who later arrived at the site, removed the artifacts, and, well, that's where the story comes to an end. However, that story was not known until 21 years later when, in 1995, researchers working at the Museum of Natural History in Transylvania, yeah, that Transylvania, by chance uncovered the mysterious wedge-shaped artifact tucked away in a storage locker. Intrigued by their discovery, the researchers take some pictures, make some phone calls, and before you know it, the Wedge of Aiud is revealed to the public, which of course brings up the obvious question, why was it hidden in the first place? Well, that's where the mystery and controversy comes into play, because from the very beginning, due to its proximity to 12,000-year-old Mastodon bones and the thick layer of patina that covered it, museum officials and archaeologists had dated the artifact to around 10,000 BC. However, upon spectral analysis of the artifact, experts discovered that it was 90% aluminum with a 10% mixture of additives that included copper, silicone, lead, zinc, and cobalt, which meant that this wedge was actually an alloy, a process that modern humans didn't discover until the early 1800s, wouldn't be mass-produced until the late 1800s, and would be impossible for any ancient civilization to accomplish. Now, before we get into the theories of what this artifact could possibly be, let's first remove what I call the stupid. Since this artifact was found at a construction site, contains modern-day elements, and very much resembles a modern-day excavator tooth, many skeptics immediately went to just that this was nothing more than a modern-day excavator tooth from one of the excavators at the construction site, which for about 5 seconds makes sense, until you stop and think for a moment and realize just how unbelievably ridiculous that explanation is, because A, aluminum is soft, which is why every single excavator tooth ever fabricated for an excavator is made from either steel or iron, and when asked if they would ever use aluminum to break rock or dig a trench, experts in the field of construction and site planning responded with, B. Aluminum wasn't produced anywhere even remotely close to Romania at the time, and naturally, it is extracted from bauxite ore, which is only found in tropical and subtropical regions. C. More than 80% of the aluminum that was being used from the 1950s to the 1970s was used exclusively for the war efforts. D. The first modern-day mini excavator wasn't produced until the 1960s in Japan, and it wasn't until the 1980s when mass production by competing companies began, so the chances of any excavator appearing within a very small town of 1974 Romania, 0. And E, probably one of the more obvious, workers notice fairly quickly when a tooth of an excavator breaks off. I'm not done with the stupid just yet, because a new, even more ridiculous explanation has come about in recent years, claiming that, because they have similar elemental compounds, the Wedge of Aiud is actually duralumin, a stronger aluminum with a faster rate of oxidation. Now, this explanation just highlights the stupid to a whole new level, because duralumin wasn't discovered until the early 1900s and wasn't mass-produced until about 20 years later. So, A, the word impossible seems pretty accurate to explain the possibility of this much oxidation in just a 50-year period. B, duralumin is used almost exclusively within the aerospace industry. C, has never once been used within the fabrication of an excavator, because D, it's really, really expensive. And E, duralumin is still fucking aluminum.
Damn, I'm good! Can you feel that? Huh? Can you feel it?
All of that being said, never mind the fact that the wedge was discovered right next to 12,000-year-old Mastodon bones at a depth of 30 feet within a very remote town of a very remote country, and disregard the fact that down the street, less than a couple hundred miles away, is a small 800-year-old church that houses a very intriguing 700-year-old painting. And forget the fact that one of the most epic of our otherworldly myths has its origins in this exact location, because none of that matters and pales in comparison to the one irrefutable fact that surrounds this artifact and truly brings it into the realm of the unexplainable and fantastic. The patina. Patina Patina is a coating of various metal compounds that form on the surface of said metal when exposed to the natural atmospheric elements for an extended period of time. The longer the metal is exposed to the elements, the thicker the layer the patina will be. And the patina on the wedge had a level of thickness that measured between 6,000 and 12,000 years. And before you ask the question, no, patina absolutely cannot be faked, and no, I'm not speaking to the aesthetic, I'm speaking to the type of fake that would fool a state-of-the-art spectrometer, which again, impossible to do. And here's the thing, experts and museum officials not only know and acknowledge this absolute fact, but they openly admit that this is one of the main reasons they keep this artifact hidden from the public, because logically, they cannot explain this level of patina.
I have exorcised the demons. This house is clear.
Combine that with the elemental composition and all of the other shit I've stated, and you now see why this is one of the most controversial and mysterious artifacts in the world, because it may actually be what everyone thinks it just might be. And the crazy part is, one of the experts who examined this artifact was an unnamed aerospace engineer who stated that this artifact looked like the base of a landing gear you would find on a spacecraft, and what's even more incredible is that the elemental composition, according to said expert, is the exact elemental composition we would use today. Now, I am fully aware of just how crazy that may sound to many of you, or well, none of you. I don't get a lot of views, and most of you don't make it this far. But for those of you who are still here, ask yourself one very simple question. If this is nothing more than just a simple, modern-day excavator tooth, why does the museum keep it locked away to this day?